What's up, guys? If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Also, please smash that like button on the video and enjoy the show.
In the Civil War, both sides, they were making songs about each other. So music and art and this kind of communication method has always been part of conflict, and it trickles all the way down to these gang wars. You've got gangs, you've got the BDs and the GDs, or the Bloods and the Crips, and they're making diss songs and they're rapping about each other, and these songs are getting each other hyped up to go into battle.
Hey guys, if you have a second, please be sure to share this episode around on social media and with your friends, whether it's Reddit, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, doesn't matter. It's all a huge help. It gets new eyeballs on the show, and it allows us to grow and survive. So thank you to all of you who have already been doing that, and thank you to all of you who are going to do so now.
You got these guys in the Bronx, they're making songs and they're sliding to their own music. And it's interesting. Again, it's this whole thing of people want to be like, oh, black music's violent and, you know, gangster rap's so bad. Like that's what a lot of these, like, you know, I don't know, maybe like articles, very closed-minded, very
Old
ignorant articles, might do. And they do it in the UK. They're trying to ban the music. They're saying drill music's making kids violent. But it's like, violence has always been a part of history. Conflict has always been a part of history. And so has like music and art around conflict. And the idea that they're blaming that community and the music for what's going on, I think is so wrong. And back to what you were saying a minute ago, I think it's really important to remember, and I try and put this into my documentaries, that, like, you know, if we're talking about gangster rap, you know, rap is a black genre of music. It's an African-American dominated genre of music, even though other people do it. And I feel like there's so much oppression. So much of what rap music is about speaking up to oppression and talking about your experiences. You know, gangster rap, when it first emerged in the 80s in Los Angeles, you got people like Schoolie D, Ice-T, NWA. Yes. Those first gangster rap songs weren't about being gangsters. They were about the consequences of being identified as a gangster. NWA had songs, Fuck the Police, talking about police brutality. For the first time, they were creating a window into, hey, we're the black community in LA, and this is how we're being treated by the police. Right. And fuck the police. And it's like the music has always been a representation of the kind of the negative way that the black community is being treated, right? And that's why it always bugs me when people are like, oh, drill music's so violent, they need to stop making that music. But that music's just a representation of what was going on. If you were a young guy growing up in 2012 in Chicago, you're making drill music about we're killing our ops and we're smoking people, and because that's what actually was going on. But that's not their fault. You know, I feel like the worst and most ignorant thing you see people saying is, you know, black people are violent, these gangster rappers, they're violent. But it's like, no, when you look at the socioeconomic situation in Chicago, these are people that have been the most marginalized, pushed together in these project buildings, being forced into situations where there's no opportunities in the hood. If you were growing up in one of these project buildings in the 80s in Chicago, there aren't opportunities for you. You know, the gangs, the Black Disciples, they run your block. That's your opportunity. That's what's going on. And if you trace gangs all the way back to their first origins, like if you look at groups like the Black Pea Stone Nation in Chicago, that, you know, these organizations that emerged in the 60s and 70s, these were community activist organizations that were organized to protect the black community from other groups that were going to cause them harm. So it's like this music and these gangs, the purpose for them existing is to protect the black people in the community. And it's unfortunate that over decades of underinvestment and underrepresentation in those communities, that it's like they've become a scapegoat for the circumstances that they had foisted upon them by the government, if you get what I'm saying.
That's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Because it's the guys we're talking about are the guys who have attention, right? We're talking about guys who become big artists and then they're rapping about this stuff so people know who they are. So, you know, someone who wants to win some brownie points for a Tuesday in November can say, look at what this man here is saying and look at what he's going. Well, what have you done about it? How have you helped this situation?
Well, when Chief Keef first came out, right, and he was making this gangster violent music in Chicago, you know, gangster rap had always been a thing, but drill music in 2012 when Chief Keef first came out, that was the most violent type of rap music anyone had ever seen. But
I'm sorry to cut you off. For people out there who aren't who are listening, who aren't as familiar with the different genres of raps, can you just explain drill music just so they have a little background? Yeah,
drill music is like an ultra-violent offshoot of gangster rap that emerged in Chicago in 2012. So if I give you the full history of gangster rap, man, we'll go all the way back to probably 1985 in Los Angeles when gangster rap first came about, and you had people like Schoolie D, Ice-T, NWA making songs about their experience in Los Angeles in the streets. And you know, I think one of the first Gangster Rap songs was the batter ram, and it was all about how the LAPD would use these battering rams to smash in your door and, you know, turn over your crib. And so the music was about police brutality and the experience of being a gangster in LA, right? But over the years, gangster rap's kind of evolved, and you've had really big people. Obviously, there's been a lot of gangster rappers out in New York. People like 50 Cent was like, he was living that life and he got shot 9 times, but he survived it. But things were always kind of ambiguous. It was always just about what was going on. It wasn't necessarily about, like 50 Cent's got this famous lyric where he says, about the guy that shot him 9 times. He says, he got hit like I got hit, but he ain't fucking breathing, right? And so it's like, what he's saying is the guy that shot me is dead. Like, we killed the guy that shot me. Yeah, but
don't worry about
it's ambiguous, right? Whereas nowadays with Chicago, it's like, we shot him, we shot Steve on this at this address, and now we're smoking him, and we smoked him. And so like, it was around 2012 when it's like Chief Keef, you know, the guy that really started drill is a guy called Pac-Man, but you know, Chief Keef was like one of the first people to popularize this ultra-violent, ultra-specific type of gangster rap from Chicago. And then over the years, a lot of other places like Brooklyn and the UK, they've kind of borrowed this sound. It was like an evolution of like trap rap from Atlanta. So like, you know, after someone like 50 Cent in New York, you know, he's getting shot 9 times and he's telling that story. Trap music kind of emerged from Atlanta. It wasn't about violence, it was about selling drugs. So you had people like T.I., Gucci Mane, Young Jeezy talking about trapping and selling drugs, and people like the Migos, they're talking about being in the bando in abandoned houses selling drugs. And again, it's all just a representation of what was going on in their community, the things that, you know, this group of people were forced to do to survive. At this point, it was selling drugs.
Yeah.
But like trap music, that sort of sound of those kind of beats that people like Gucci Mane and Young Jeezy were using, it was sort of like trap music that you could sort of hear it. You could listen to it in the club, you could dance to it, but it was also gangster and street. That evolved into drill music that was like just very aggressive, very hard beats, and then all the lyrics are about real violence that's going on, real people, real situation, real names, that kind of thing.
You said at the outset of this conversation, the word you used several times, storytelling, right? And you were attracted to that in the music. They're telling the story of their experience, and that's what attracted me, right? You hear Reasonable Doubt for the first time, you listen to that album. I didn't grow up with Marcy Projects. I feel like I have some understanding. I can't fully understand. I wasn't there. But like Jay-Z put that shit lyrically for me to get it. When I listen, you know, I listen to every lyric Tupac has ever done 100 times over. I get his life. I get what it was about, you know? Again, wasn't there. Can't fully understand it, but like there's a part of him that how he became what he became, how that character was formed through, you know, to borrow his words, like the rose that grew out of concrete in a way. You understand that because these guys are putting it across. So what else would you have them do? Like you talked about music, like that's amazing. Like the whole Civil War thing and war before that, where they're literally using music to diss each other. But you talk about music being like a always this concept at the middle of conflict or whatever. It's the concept at the middle of culture too. It tells it paints the picture of what's happening at the time. You could listen to some composition Mozart wrote. It's got no words to it, but like, you know, some motherfuckers in wigs are sitting there going, tally-ho, you know, and it's like everyone gets it. They're on the same page. So it's a powerful thing. But you're getting into this talk, like we got into Silo talking about drill and how that was coming up in Chicago. And you're saying like these guys are rapping about what they see. Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.